Okay, now that shot of Ashley gives you an idea of what I've coped with in over 50 years of fishing for carp. Fishing in weed and dealing with weed and trying to get rid of weed is almost par for the course if you're a carp angler, because most weedy lakes are the ones that the carp like. Anyway, there's a video here of me doing a bit of weed clearing over at Causeway Lake. I hope you find it useful, and don't forget, any weed is beatable. It is, after all, just a plant. Okay, here's how to clear floating pondweed, i.e. blanket weed, and chickweed or duckweed. Right, first off, this is how not to do it. Because it's floating, a conventional weed rake made of metal sinks and only pulls in a handful of stuff that's on the bottom, as I'll demonstrate. Look how the rope cuts through the surface weed, causing minimum disturbance, while the rake itself, once it comes up to the top, will actually pick up a bit of the surface stuff, but it mainly picks up bottom weed. And the bottom weed bottom weed is dying anyway, because the duckweed and the blanket weed are excluding the sunlight, so the bottom weed can't photosynthesize and produce oxygen. All it can do is die and degenerate and cause a lack of oxygen in the lake, caused primarily by the floating weed in the first place. Go. Now, there go the quarter boys. Now, at great personal expense to myself, this is a lump of 4x2. It's about 70 or 80 years old. It came out of a loft conversion. That should be dry, or it was before today. And you'll see all we've got here basically is a floating branch, or floating boom if you want to be technical. And this is just 6 foot, controlled purely by me, just single manpower, nothing special. Now, you should see a hole appearing already as I pull it in slowly. That's the duckweed and the blanket weed coming in.
because basically they're nothing. They're just floating, cutting off the oxygen to the bottom, or rather cutting off the daylight and the oxygen to the bottom. And there we have a nice big hole. With this just being done on a small scale, single-handed. Shouldn't be too difficult to grasp the concept that if you had a bigger lump of wood and more people, or a boat, provided you did what I've just been doing, is just putting it in very gently, you don't create too much of a vortex to actually bring all the other stuff back in to fill the hole. So we'll carry on and see how we get on. Because it's just a plain old lump of wood, there's not a lot of weed to be taken off of it. Just pour it in here until its own weight has forced it all to sink into a pile. Now you can't quite see this on the camera, but what I've achieved with half a dozen throws has all condensed down to a pile here in front of the swim. It's actually about maybe 4 or 5 foot out in total as one big pile. But you can see, yes, there's still little bits of stuff being brought in by the breeze, but I can now fish one rod length out without encountering any issues with weed. Well, apart from what's on the bottom, of course. This is the thing about these specific weeds, that because they float, they don't really pose a threat unless you lift your rod up so that the line goes through it all while you're playing the fish. If you keep your rod down low, preferably with the tip under the water if you can, this won't be any issue at all. None at all. And the bottom weed won't be much of an issue because that's in the process of dying anyway, thanks to the chickweed and the blanket weed. Now I'm going to haul this little pile out now. I don't know how much we've got, but it'll be interesting to see.
it is important that if you're going to pull the stuff out of the lake, which of course is the best thing to do with it, pile it up close to the edge, preferably not in the middle of the swim, otherwise you're using up too much bank space. But yeah, pile it up in the edge so that the wee beasties, all those lovely young snails and whatever else happen to be in there, end up, you know, they can actually make their way back into the lake and provide the food for the fish.
Okay, I think that'll do. There's a few hundredweight there. Won't be once it's drained and dried. But that sure looks better than it did half hour ago. I think that'll do for videoing.